Thank you. Welcome to my presentation. It's called Mayo, Transcending the Boundaries of Locality. So unfortunately, we have to briefly leave Vorarlberg, although the sun is out now finally. And I will take you on a little journey to find not Nemo, but Mayo. Although both are orange, it's not a fish. So the journey starts with my attempt to disrupt myself. I wanted to challenge my own comfort zones, my perception of people, and conquer my own or confront my own fears. And I went on a journey around the world. And I was guided by two questions, actually. So it was not just traveling and encountering new people and cultures and so on. I was led by two questions, like how does education work around the world and how does entrepreneurship work around the world? Because I consider myself pretty privileged. I grew up in a white Austrian middle-class family. I had access to education. I had an easy way, let's say, to find a job. And I knew that my friends who were coming from different backgrounds, had different skin colors, didn't have the same pleasant experience. So I wanted to see, like, how do people around the globe approach these two topics? And along the journey, I had the opportunity to work in a social innovation academy in Uganda, in Eastern Africa. So the next part of the journey was how to disrupt learning. So these are just some snapshots from the location there. And what the Social Innovation Academy does, they have, so Eastern Uganda, or Eastern Africa, the people there, the countries surrounded by countries that are really challenged by violent conflicts. They have a lot of refugees. They have like very difficult conditions for young people. So they have a very, very young, very young population. Very contrary to Austria, actually. So young people not only have difficulties to get proper classic education, but they also have real difficulties to find jobs, because there are no jobs. So what the Social Innovation Academy did, they provided a framework or a process or a curriculum to get all these people to use their own, sometimes really tragic stories, to come up with social businesses or ideas for social organizations. So the students there are accompanied usually by coaches and mentors, and they have like input, like similar to normal education, they have input sessions as well, but I think the main ingredient is that they have mentors. For those who don't know what mentors are, in a classic sense, it would be like an older, more experienced person would accompany one that is less experienced or younger, but with all the changes in the society, like, and also the requirements of the job market, it's changing nowadays. So it could also be the other way around. So an older person would learn, for example, digital skills from a younger person. And I got a great opportunity to accompany two teams there, actually. So they're coming from Congo, from Southern Sudan, and from Uganda, and I became their mentor. And over the last years, so I was there working with them, but also over the last years, I'm working more and more remotely with them. So over the course of the last years, both of them built up academies with a similar scheme, or like with a similar curriculum, one in Congo and one in Uganda. And because I had such a great learning experience, because very often my mentees became my mentors, not just to talk about like their challenges, but also their approaches to life. And what I really realized, actually, I found the most, or the most unusual or most innovative approaches in the most unexpected places around the world. And for example, in the Social Innovation Academy, what the products or the businesses do, they use what we would call waste very often, and they start businesses that are repurposing, recycling reinventing the materials, and here's just some examples. So they make clothes, construction materials, accessories, and so on. So my teams, they are building the academies. So here's a part of the team there. And there's just a few impressions how it looks. It's very different to here. So I started to ask myself, because my own learning experience there, so I came there as the expert, which I'm not. And like I learned so much from these people, and they like also their approaches to life. And I often said, like now in the Corona crisis, it helped me, like what I learned from them helped me so much to like deal with all the changes at the moment and all the limitations. So I asked myself, how can I get more people into mentoring? But also, how can I change the labels we give to people? Because, as I said in the beginning, like classic mentoring would be the more experienced teaching or like accompanying the less experienced. But actually, it's very often both ways, and that's the most fruitful and the most fulfilling experience. And for me, it was really like one part of my, actually the mentoring playbook is a part of my thesis at the Fachhochschule Vorarlberg. So my research question became, how can I, through design, support intercultural relationships or mentoring relationships, and along the way, try to achieve a few more things. How to make the mutual learning experience fruitful or like rich, how to increase and diversify the social capital of both the mentee and the mentor. For those who don't or haven't heard the term social capital, like in very simple terms, it means the connection one person has and can access that help him or her to either proceed in a job or like to achieve another goal. And there, and the last goal was how to enhance in general the appreciation for diversity. So now we finally reach MIO. And MIO is an abbreviation for mentoring, intercultural, and then O stands for opportunities, open, and many other words. So what MIO does, what MIO consists of, are different tools that help the mentoring relationship, with the main goal to foster the connection between people, to break down the classic barriers that we have sometimes. So the hierarchies, the perception of other cultures, the perception of certain groups of people. And this is just one example from the book, and there's another one that helps to increase the network and find bridging and bonding capital, which means bridging and bonding capital, or nodes in the network, which means like people that become part of the support network for each of the persons. What I also did as a result also of the observation, documentation, and a lot of mapping of my own experience with my mentees, but also supported by lots of research, conversations with experts from the field who are working in organizations that are providing mentoring as part of their program or as part of the services. I came up with a model for intercultural mentoring. And in the book, I explain how the spiral and the different, how the model was developed over different stages, and how the observation from my experience, but also, for example, work by mentoring researchers, finally resulted in something like this. So what I wanted to create is a kind of representation that can help people in any actually intercultural relationship to build on the diversity or the different opinions, the different approaches, the different cultures, and form a bond that helps to create something new. So as part of the design, it looks like the MasterCard logo, but it's not. It's just the beamer. So part of the work was, because I have this design background, but also a very diverse background, I wanted to use the tools that I have as a designer to engage people in mentoring, to show that diversity has like a lot of value, and that it can help actually to foster innovation and to create a lot of new opportunities or ways forward. So I came up with a design that's very strongly related to the circle, or like built on the circle, and the possibilities that come up like in the center by the meeting of two very different people. And I explained in the playbook quite a lot, that in the middle, for example, so first of all, it looks like an end as a unity, unendlich, I don't know, the German. Then in the middle, you can see it has the shape of the eye. So through the meeting of two people who are very different from each other, you can see the world differently, you can see yourself differently, you can see new people, and you can see new opportunities. And the circle and the overlaying, or the overlapping of the circle, provided me a lot of opportunities to explain principles of mentoring, but also the results that mentoring can bring to not only the individual couple, but also to the society as a whole. So the circle provided also for me as a designer a lot of opportunities and possibilities. As part of my design process, like initially the idea was to send up a call for entry to very diverse groups of people and see, like, they would get a kind of briefing and had to answer some questions, and I would choose different designers. Unfortunately, this didn't work because it was very challenging during Corona times to reach people, and in the digital version and the digital platforms, I didn't get any replies. But then my social capital paid off. Like within, I think, 2 days, I got designers from Georgia, Uganda, Colombia, and Vorarlberg. You will know the designer probably. And they contributed to the design of the book. So each of them shared their vision of either learning, mentoring, or diversity. And what I tried, I'll show you something else. So that's a contribution from Georgia, from Colombia. And what I tried as well, you can see it's part of the playbook, I asked them questions about, for example, how different opinions or diversity pay into their work, to also give the reader or the audience an idea how diversity could really impact the working together, the results, or innovation, for example. So each of the illustrations or designs comes with a short question or a brief questionnaire that was answered by the designer. And this one you will probably know, or I will be familiar with. It's a designer from Vorarlberg. Okay, so okay, let's see. And alongside with the work, the design work, I also did a lot of classic research. So I sent out questionnaires, I had interviews, and I got answers. And again, my social capital in this case paid off. I got, even though there was Corona and everybody was tired of all the digital means, I got, for one of the first questionnaires, 150 answers from, I think, 24 countries. And that's one quote from one of the answers on the questionnaire. They said, if everyone had a mentor from a completely different background as themselves, we might actually achieve world peace, which I find quite bold. But what I think what mentoring does, especially mentoring somebody who is not like you in whatever way, it creates understanding, it creates empathy. So for example, in my case, like, I could design something for my mentees, but if I would not have lived with them and experienced their challenges, their daily life, the resources they have, I would not be able to produce the same kind of work. So I think what mentoring can do is give you the opportunity to, at least short ways, walk in the shoes of the other person. And I think what we can do as designers or in general people, so I would rephrase the statement by the respondent and say like, if everybody had a mentor or mentee, like from a different background or completely different background, we might actually create better designs, products, organizations, or societies. And last but not least, Mayo, depending on the characters or the signs you use, in Japanese means like a beautiful thread or a beautiful connection. And I would like to thank you, and I use the circles again, and I wish you a great time to connecting with each other, finding new maybe business partners, friends, people to exchange with, or just have a beer with. Thank you very much.